Hi, this is Katya Turner, exclusively for basmati.com, coming to you with a video series about natural pregnancy. Today we're going to be talking about the second trimester, the midpoint, right, in your pregnancy. Amazing time. They say that the second trimester is probably the easiest, and I could agree. The second trimester is whenever you have already kind of gotten comfortable with being pregnant, you got in sync with your body, you start growing, you start showing, you start being more and more excited about the baby who's growing inside of you, and you're starting to be more comfortable with the whole process and just kind of settling in with the idea of having a child and birthing a child here really soon. So first, I'm going to talk about my second trimester and with my pregnancy with my daughter. So second trimester was really as amazing as the whole pregnancy, despite all the crazy stuff that was going on. And the crazy stuff was a lot. So at that time, I was working still around the clock. I was waking up by 6, 7 in the morning. I'm already at the desk, designing all the way up until midnight. I would go and do photo shoots, sometimes all day, sometimes 2-day photo shoots. With all the equipment, the heavy cameras, heavy lenses, somehow I still felt very vibrant, very connected, very alive. And a lot of those tools that we have discussed in the previous video, they have helped me to stay vibrant, stay feeling alive, stay feeling creative and inspired all the time. And on the other hand, here's what was going on. My husband was completely losing his business because his main client has passed away, and they did not have a contract in place, which caused us a lot of unexpected issues. We nearly filed for bankruptcy just because we did not know how we were going to cope with all of those bills of the back end of the business that no longer brings in any money. Not only that, imagine having a husband who's pretty depressed, right? Trying to do things and to get things picked up, and nothing was helping, nothing. We were both overdrawn in our accounts to the max. And whenever we were getting married, we got married here in Arkansas at his mom's house. We didn't have enough money to get to the wedding. It was so bad. Like I told you in the first video, that we had to return the sewing machine that my husband gave me for Christmas in order for us to make it to our own wedding. In the middle of that, we decided that we are going to move to another state. We decided to move to Arkansas. Not so much because being close to the family of my husband, but mostly because there were business prospects here for him. There were people who he was working with here in Arkansas, so he would always travel back and forth, and I always work from home, from, behind my own desk. So it just made sense to go ahead and move here. So in the middle of all of that, we decide to move. So imagine, me and my depressed husband and 2 dogs and packing up the house and moving into this small little apartment in the middle of the city. It was very interesting, yet it was still the happiest time of my life. Like, no matter what the circumstances were around me, I was so centered, so collected. I was super productive. I loved all the creative stuff I was doing. My work is creative. And then I was doing a whole lot of creation aside from that. And I just felt, again, very connected, very grounded, knowing what I was doing, very alive. So here in this video, we're going to talk about the tools and the tips and the things that helped me have that second trimester, that amazing, beautiful time in my life that I look back and just smile about, because it was so magical. It was so good. So yeah, the first thing, which is pretty common sense, and a lot of people do it. Second trimester of my pregnancy, I started drinking red raspberry leaf tea. Fun fact, I still drink it just because I have grown to love it so much. It became kind of like a drug. Like, I needed to have it. It was so good. It tastes so good. It's kind of like my taste buds retrained themselves to like different kind of food and different kind of taste. So herbal teas are now the thing that I drink. I love them with passion, and raspberry leaf tea was the first stepping stone to me basically changing my lifestyle forever. So good. Not only that, it strengthens your uterus to where, it just becomes strong before labor. It's beautiful, beautiful, amazing natural resource to help your body manage creating and birthing a person. Then tip number 2 is continuing implementing your daily rituals because they set the tone of the day and create your general baseline feeling. How you feel before you go into like very high excited state or low set upset state. It's your baseline feeling, where you are neutrally. And it can be higher and it can be lower. It can be always in like anxiety and doubt that we don't even notice is there. Or it can be pretty high, vibrating high in trust and security and feeling alive and grateful and excited. Yeah. Daily ritual, especially morning rituals. Like morning routine is everything to set the tone for your day. So I invite you guys to sit down and create that perfect morning routine, the perfect combination of actions and things you can do that you love, that you do for you to nurture you. Not your relationship with your partner, not your even relationship with your child, not your involvement as a housemaker, as a wife, as a girlfriend. You, the person you, do something for you that you need to feel loved by you. It's beautiful. It's so very important. So my morning routine back then was something like wake up and meditate straight away. And when I meditated, already at the second trimester, 10 minutes was not enough. And it was not enough because I loved it so much. So I would meditate for like 20, 30 minutes. I would sit and sit and sit because I couldn't get enough of the beautiful, peaceful feeling that you feel when you like come to your own center. And then also because I kept envisioning what I wanted. I envisioned being set financially. And I believed it. Like, it's almost like I was already having it, you know? And here's the deal. If we go like really crazy into energies and laws of the universe, you know, the universe operates on the law of attraction. And what you are, you attract. And for our mind, it doesn't matter if the thing that you experience is actually real or if you imagine it in your head, right? Because you experience the same feelings. So the feeling of you already having it versus the feeling of that you have while you're daydreaming about it is the same exact thing that brings that to you, that exact thing that you're dreaming about. So visualize good scenarios, visualize what you want on all aspects of your life, and you will see how fast you're actually going to bring that about. Not only that, again, it sets this positive tone, a positive outlook on life. And over time, even till now, here's what I have noticed, is that these little rituals, these little habits, like meditation, like journaling, like gratitude practice, it actually changes your neural pathways in your brain to where your default response to what happens in life is a positive thinking pattern instead of a negative thinking pattern. So whenever something happens, like you're going to make yourself a favorite tea, right? And your teapot breaks. And whenever you are constantly in this like state and not really acknowledging it, right? Your responses are like, oh my God, another thing breaks, another something wrong. And it just drags you down. And by the end of it, you don't even want to do anything at all, but like sit in front of the TV and watch TV. But if you consciously come back to these practices of meditation, of journaling, the gratitude and all of that, you start noticing that your responses become different. Your responses become something along the lines like with a teapot, like, oh well, oh well, it didn't work now, I'll go get me another teapot, or oh well, then I'm gonna drink water and still enjoy it. Like, you start looking at life through a completely different lens, and your perception is your life. Two different people can look at this like same circumstances and have a completely different experiences based upon how they filter it up there. So I invite you all to choose wisely, right? And to be conscious of the fact that all of these little things, the little tiny actions, create your atmosphere upstairs and how you process your life. Hence, creating more of the same. Hence, bringing you about more of the positive, less of the negative. Hence, making your general like vibe of life a very positive and uplifting one. And we all want that, right? Not only that, whenever we feel positive and uplifted, we also feel light and healthy in our bodies, and because our bodies do revitalize with that energy. So whenever you are pregnant, it's like more important than ever to try and do this, because it's just going to lift you up so much higher. You're going to feel like a completely different person. Then in the second trimester, this is when you start growing, you start showing already, and your body starts really changing really fast. So here I want to invite you guys to make your self-care a real priority. Whether it is processing your feelings about your body and actually taking time to process how you're going along. The fact that you might have some sadness or letting go to do does not mean that you're not managing your feelings well. It is a very natural process of change that we as women have to go to. We have to do a lot of letting go and a lot of accepting of what is in order to let this experience fully through and not get stuck somewhere and create a lot of tensions and resentment for the fact that we don't want to accept something, right? So whether it would be that, working with your feelings, or going and getting a massage, or going and getting a facial, a manicure, or taking a walk in the park because you feel like you want some stillness and you just feel like you want some you time, not even specific, like maybe even without your partner, and you just want some alone time. Make sure in that daily list that you set out your little time slots for you regularly. Ideally, I would say probably 3 to begin with, like some in the morning, some in the afternoon, and some in the evening, so that throughout the day you constantly do something for you and you can't skip it because it's on your to-do list. It is just as important, if not more important, really, if we're going to look at the bigger picture. It is way more important than anything else on your to-do list. If something with your job would go wrong and you didn't do something, right, you can find another job. But this pregnancy with this child is the only experience you get. You get to be pregnant with them once. This pregnancy is once, so make it count. Like, do everything you possibly can to make this a beautiful experience so that you can enjoy it, so that you can enjoy life, right? So very important. And again, we're going to come back to the same thing. Your emotional health equals your physical health, equals your baby's emotional and physical health. So you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for you and for your child. You're doing this together. You're planting great seeds in that child's development when you learn to really love and take care of yourself. Tip number 4 is slow down and breathe. And here's where I want to talk about meditation. Oh, meditation is so amazing. It is such an amazing practice. I can't even put it fully in words, the levels of how it transforms my life every single day and the scale to which it has transformed my life. So brief story, how I started meditating. As I told you in the video number 1, I kind of did it out of curiosity. I was like, everybody swears by it. There must be something to it. I'm going to try it. And so I sat down to try it, and I was the worst candidate to try and meditate because I was very overthinking, overanalyzing, finding patterns. Like, there was always so much activity going on, to the point when I would vacuum, and before I put the vacuum up, I would count how many times does the cord wrap around my arm before I put hang it back and put it back. So there was always something. There was never stillness. So I went to YouTube and I just typed meditation music. And all those tracks that popped out at me were like an hour, 2 hours, 8 hours long. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna do that. So I found the shortest one, and it was 10 minutes. And I sat down to meditate, and it was like still in the old house. I sat down on the floor of the office, and which was a poor choice because we have two dachshunds and they want to be all in your business all the time. So either way, I stuck the headphones in my ears and sat down on the floor, started meditating, or rather just sitting and listening to music. And I was so mad at myself. I was like, why am I even trying this? Why am I doing this? I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. I have so many items on my to-do list, and I have emails coming in constantly. Jump on this. This is a priority. Now this is a priority. Like, how do I even, why am I sitting on the floor right now? I'm not even sure what I'm doing. So I was super mad and I hated it. And as I told you before, I decided to journal about it. So I put down in my journal, hate it, hate it, hate it. I don't know if I'm going to do this again. And so the hardest thing, I kid you not, the hardest thing was to sit my ass back down the following day because I hated it so much. But I did it anyway. So, because I committed, I'm like 7 days. If 7 days I hate it still, why would I do it, right? But for 7 days, I'm going to do it just because of how many people talk so much positive about this practice. So, I sat down again. And this time it was way easier to sit for 5 minutes. And I did it. And I remember I was like looking at my thoughts and then thinking them, and then I was able to observe them. I was just kind of like, okay, there is no way I'm going to stop thinking. There is no way. And everywhere I read, it was like, meditation is about stopping thought. Like, you must learn to stop thinking. And then I realized it ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So I had to figure out a way around myself to, how can I still keep doing this, right? But then not fight myself inside of my own head. So I decided to visualize what I want. I decided to visualize my baby, visualize my labor, visualize how I want in general life to be, my dream life. What do I want to do? How do I want to live my life? What do I want my life to be about? I started watching it over and over again. It was like a beautiful movie that made me feel so good. And that's what hooked me. It hooked me so hard just because it gave me so many pleasant feelings to experience in the middle of my day. It's like vacation from life for a little bit. So I stuck with it. And day number 2, I wrote something better in my journal about it. And then what started happening was I would procrastinate a lot throughout my day. I'm like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Like looking at my list, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I'll do it later. And I would keep putting it off until like, okay, I have to go to bed. But because I committed to it so hard, I went and meditated right before I went to bed. And that was so powerful because instantly I started hearing the voice of my higher self in my dreams talking to me. And it was crazy. At first I didn't even understand what was happening, but it was so undeniably powerful that it just kind of shook my whole reality to, whoa, this practice is powerful indeed. And that whenever you connect to your own core in that way, it's undeniable for every person. It's like you see something you cannot unsee, and you feel some deep internal truth you cannot unfeel. So it was beautiful and very eye-opening and energy-opening in general. And I stuck with it ever since. And because I started that meditation practice back then, I was able to get really in tune with my intuitive abilities, with my psychic abilities, you might say. And this is what I do now. And I was able to kind of trace it back to my childhood and see through the experiences and the knowings and the stuff that I had going on back then, and understand that I was never broken to begin with, that this is actually a great power to be able to tune in with your heart into another and know how they feel and know why they feel it and be able to help them. And ever since then, this is what I do. I'm an intuitive guide. So people come to me whenever they don't know really what's wrong and don't know how to fix it, and I'm able to navigate it. through my own intuitive abilities. I could have never opened that up without sitting down to meditate. So for you guys who are just starting out, I want to give you my tips because I know how hard it can be to start out. I have seen so many people in my practice come to me and say, I've tried it and I can't succeed. Like I'm doing something wrong. It's not working. So I just abandoned it. So I just don't do it anymore. And my biggest argument to all of you guys is that there's no way you can do it wrong. There is no set way, instruction, how it needs to be, what it needs to be about, what needs to be the goal of meditation, and what you need to get out of it. None of that. It is very individual for every person. Some people meditate with the purpose of finding themselves, uncovering more of themselves. Some people meditate to escape from life for a little bit, which is a very healthy practice. To not be involved in your problems all the time and in what's going on in your physical life, and just kind of come to self and be in stillness where nothing is going on, where you can just enjoy like 5 minutes to breathe. Some people do it to get focused. Some people do it to get creative. There are numerous of reasons why people just sit down to meditate in the first place. And I invite you to find yours. It may be to slow down, to come to self, to spend some time alone, like really, truly alone, aside from your life, to spend some time with your baby. You can YouTube, there's a lot of meditations, how to connect with your baby, some guided meditations where they will guide you through a visualization. You will see your baby, you will play with your baby, you will really get a feel for who they are as a person. It is so very cool. So when you are just starting out, what you're gonna need is a great connection to yourself as far as what you like. This is super important because we want to make this meditation about you, not about some fabled template of how it needs to look like, but about you and what you like. And then some headphones. Ideally, I would see this being with some sort of music, although I know a lot of people who do it in nature and they listen to nature sounds, waves, stuff like that. So again, use your own internal discernment, all right, and see what resonates with you, what you like and what you dislike. But if we would go like a pretty standard route, you would pick some music, and good headphones is really a cool thing. Although I do it with my iPhone headphones right now, and it's not any worse. But whenever you have those headphones that go all the way around your ears, they really can make that surround sound happen to where it's like, it feels like this music is all around you and in your pores and your veins and in your brain, and it's like you're vibrating with that music. It's really cool. And then finding that music. For some people, it might be classical music. For some people, it might be sounds of nature. For some people, it might be silence. For some people, it might be deep meditation music, right? Reiki music, you name it. There is just so many options. And I invite you to find something for you. What calms your head? What makes you feel pleasant and melt into your heart and melt into yourself? Take the time to look and to feel out different music. For some people, it's like instrumental guitar or piano music. There is no wrong answer. It is all about you and what makes you feel good. And then in the beginning, don't expect much of yourself. Don't expect yourself to turn off your brain and sit for 2 hours. Like set a really realistic, small, tiny goal. Like try to sit for 2 minutes, let's say, for the beginning. Try to sit for 2 minutes listening to this music and maybe have this backup plan. If you cannot just come to stillness and these thoughts keep racing and keep bothering you, visualization is a great tool to shut up your upstairs neighbor. Because when we visualize in pictures, we stop talking. So, you can use that. And the biggest thing is, again, making it about you and finding what you like. For some people, a meditation is a walk in the park. For some people, a meditation is cooking. For some people, meditation is yoga. I invite you to find your own way to still yourself and come back to your stillness inside, to your peace inside, because it's within every single one of us. No matter how hectic and crazy our lives can be, that peace is inside. It's a nothing outside of you, is inside, and it's just waiting for you to turn inward and find it and experience it. So that is my tiny piece on meditation, and amazing, beautiful practice that can give you so much energy, so much connectedness to yourself, to your baby, and turn your life around to such a positive degree. I mean, wow. But I can go on and on and on. Like, I can really go on forever about meditation, but until you guys experience it, I can't really fully, right, explain this. And something else in the end that I want to say is commit to a week. Don't give up after a day or two. If you can find something in the, the first time you try another, try something else until you find that perfect recipe that matches you, your likes. And yeah. Tip number 5 is about journaling. I invite you guys to journal. Journaling has taught me so much about life, really, in general. At first, I started journaling about my meditation experience, and I would just write down a couple of sentences how my meditation was, and I kept writing down how I was getting better. And then whenever I started meditating right before going to bed, I also started kind of summarizing my day. Like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And then I saw that I was only putting down the positive things that happened that day. Positive moments, positive thoughts that I had, something new and exciting. And I noticed that I refused to look at the negative. Not that it was like putting my head in the sand. I was very aware and present and grounded in like the problems and what we had to do about them. But I was like, it doesn't need to be reflected in my journal. That's not something I want to focus on. I want to focus on the positive. I want to focus on everything that's going great. Yeah, because this is where I want to reside, basically. And it retrained my mind to look at those things to where, again, my response to life started being a very peaceful, positive one instead of dragged down and negative and grouchy and yeah. So journaling is a beautiful way to get in touch with yourself, get in touch with your feelings. Processing your feelings on paper can be so good and therapeutic, because think about it, when you're thinking about it all the time, it is stuck in here. And sometimes you can't even get out of your own thinking before you give up on yourself. Instead, when you're writing down about how you feel if you're going through a challenging time, you're getting it out of you. It's the same as whenever we feel bad and we talk to a friend and we're like, oh, it felt so good to get it off my chest. That's that same getting it out of your chest and out of your head. The weight of it is going to be gone. You're going to express it out of you, and that's it. So processing stuff on paper, processing stuff in your journal is a beautiful tool, especially when you don't have people who truly support you. When you don't have that best friend you can talk to, you can do that on paper. That journal can become your best friend, somebody who you would pour the heart out for. It's such a beautiful tool, the writing is. Wow. And back then, I, for myself, discovered this passion for writing and how intentional you can be with your words and how you can really shape your life with what you're writing about. It's amazing. So I invite you guys to start a journaling practice. Journal in the morning, in the evening. You can journal all throughout the day. Heck, if you don't have an actual physical journal, open your iPhone and type it in a note and keep typing, keep typing. The idea is to look at the positives of your life, summarize the positives of your life, process your feelings on paper or in that note application so that you can get it all out and look at your life in a different way. Tip number 6 is surround yourself with positive vibes. We can be very intentional about what we are taking in to our field, into our life. Surround yourself with positive people. If certain people make you always feel doubtful about yourself, if they bring you down, your ideas and your views of life, why the hell would you surround yourself with those people, especially when you're pregnant, right? Surround yourself with people who enrich you, with people who you lose the track of time with, right? People who support you, people who support your ideas, People who can lift you up when you cannot lift you up. This is so impacting on your life. The quality of people that you surround yourself with. Are they dragging you down or are they pulling you up? Then information that you take in. Surround yourself with positive information. When you're pregnant, don't look at videos of, I don't know, C-section or something else that you don't want. Like, yes, educate yourself about the possible complications, but with the purpose of knowledge, not with the purpose of constantly soaking in it. Soak yourself in the beautiful vibes. Look at inspiring pregnancy stories or labor stories. Look at live birth videos. Like, whenever I was doing this while I was pregnant, even, let's say, live births, right? They are very different kind. If I am able to actually find a natural birth filmed, some of them are more chaotic and disturbing than others. Like, I was looking for the peaceful ones, for the ones I still look at. I'm like, I have no idea how this mother is doing so when she's just laying there breathing and her baby's being born. I mean, this is beautiful. That is the stuff I wanted to look at. Like, yes, I knew about all that could possibly potentially go wrong, and sometimes it does, but I chose to feed myself with beautiful, inspiring stuff. I kept re-listening the same stories, the same vlogs, the same interviews that were positive and inspiring, because I'm like, this can happen, and I want this to be me. So I am going, like, this is what I want to keep experiencing. And this is how you, again, lift your vibe, your feeling, baseline feeling up, and you constantly feel inspired. You constantly feel positive. You think positive thoughts because you expose yourself to positive, inspiring material all the time. Tip number 7, connect with nature. There is nothing more natural than connecting with nature and earth while you're pregnant. Whenever a woman is pregnant, I believe we open up some channel inside of ourselves that is so connected to our primal nature that we normally don't have access to. This is a perfect time to develop that connection to your internal knowing, the knowing that knows no matter what. It is unshakable. It is like the core into earth, like programmed by nature. So connecting with nature and all the natural elements and earth is so very beneficial. It's like you start vibing and syncing with earth and your real surroundings, not the man-made surroundings in your house and your TV, but the real, true surrounding, which is earth, right, where we live in. So I invite you guys to go on walks, go hiking, go to the park, put your bare feet on the ground, do gardening, do some planting. If you like flowers, plant a bunch to just shower you with love, right? And whenever you keep looking at those flowers, you cannot help but feel this incredible abundance that earth has, that you get to feel inside of you as well, because you become a part of one whole. It's so beautiful. Garden. Grow some food. If you live in the city, you can do this on the balcony. You can do this on the windowsill. There is no really excuse for not trying anything like with earth. It can just untap like so much potential of this connectedness and groundedness within you that you might never have experienced before. And this is something that can be so incredibly beneficial while you're pregnant, because again, you get to connect with yourself, you get to connect with baby, feel in general more secure and safe, like you have a ground underneath your feet, feel more trusting to life, instead of feeling like life is always out there to get you and always feeling like this like shaky state of anxiety. Really connecting to nature and grounding yourself with nature can help that a lot. Tip number 8 is allow yourself to have a bad day. This is so important. Here's the deal. None of us are perfect. We are not robots. We're not designed to be perfect. So we are going to have bad days. We're going to have days when we're just angry and we want to be angry and we choose to be angry. Or when we're sad and we just want to read a book and be alone and cry. And crying is great, really. Despite of what a lot of our parents taught us, crying is great because it is a form of release of tension. You don't want to be holding tension in your body. You want to cry it out because that tension creates disease later. We don't want disease. We want to let it all out. We were made to cry for a reason. So cry it out. Have a bad day, and the main thing here, don't be hard on yourself about it. If one day you allowed somebody to tell you a bad story and you were freaking out the rest of the day about it, and then now you're really upset, so what? It was one day. Today's a new one. You can have a new beginning. Actually, every now moment is a new beginning. In every now moment, you can turn your life around completely. So don't be hard on yourself. You're in a very vulnerable state where your love, like, you need it so much. So be your own biggest cheerleader and allow yourself to have those days. You wouldn't tell your best friend, like, oh my gosh, why are you sad? Like, stop being sad and be awesome instead, right? If she's sad, you'd sit with her and comfort her until she's done being sad, and then you can move on to having fun. Do that same thing for you. If you feel sad, if you feel down, heck, allow yourself to feel sad and down. Allow yourself to have a bad day, pat yourself on the back, and then go about having your amazing life again. And number 9 is, it is all about your mindset. A lot of what we're talking about is all about right here. How you see life is the life you're experiencing. I keep repeating this because this is one of the main messages of the whole shebang. Because you can find so many different tips and tricks and tools based on that thought alone, on understanding, deep understanding of the fact that your external circumstances are only as good as you see them or as bad as you see them. Any situation, whenever you encounter anything at all, like this camera I'm looking at, this desk, this floor, I always have like a fork in the road. How do I decide to see it? How do I decide to judge it? What do I decide to think about it? You always have a choice. So your mindset is incredibly important. For you to have a beautiful experience, you have to have a positive mindset. You cannot have positive outcome if you keep thinking negative thoughts. Because negative vibes is where you reside in when you have negative thoughts. So I invite you guys to keep your mindset in check and to keep doing all of these practices that help you create the new thinking patterns, that help you see the bright side, that helps you see positive in every single situation, and you will see how your pregnancy is going to be so much more connected and peaceful and centered and knowing and natural. I hope you guys have enjoyed this talk about the second trimester. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the third trimester and labor. Oh, this is such a good video. I cannot wait to share with you all of my tips about how to get ready for natural birth, to make it a conscious, beautiful, amazing experience, how to get through labor. There's so much I have to share about contractions, about how to flow through them, about your work with your partner. Oh my God, there's just so much. I'm super excited for the next video. I'll see you then.